I just wanted to do a quick review for you guys about point of view. I know this is a concept you've learned about in the past, but it's one that's always worth thinking about a little bit more deeply, particularly before we apply it to a new text or a new context, such as video games. So there are three main types. In 7th grade, and I believe I've told you this before, we tend to break down our third-person point of view into 3 types. For our activity today, we're not going to have to worry about that, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is review all of these concepts and how they would apply to a typical story, like a written text. Then at the very end, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how you can apply that idea of point of view to video games. So first of all, what is point of view? Point of view is all about who is either telling the story or who the story is about. That's what our point of view is going to deal with. And there's something very, very important to note here. We can tell what the point of view of a story is by the narration, not by the dialogue. Dialogue will throw you off. So if it's in quotes, if it's dialogue, it's not a part of the point of view. We're only looking at the narration, okay? So first up, we have first-person point of view. This is a very common one. First-person point of view is when the person telling the story is in the story. They are a character. They were there. And they'll be using words like I, me, we. We use this one most often in real life. So when something real juicy has happened on Instagram, I don't know, and you want to tell your best friend, you're going to tell it from the first person point of view. You're going to say, I looked on Instagram last night and guess what I saw? And then you're going to tell the story, but you are a part of it. You are talking about what you saw. You're talking about how you are reacting. So first person point of view is really common. We have a lot of stories set up this way where the person telling us the story is a character within it. The next one is second person point of view. This is not common in stories. This is when the story is about you. We tend to see this in informative texts more often than stories, but every once in a while you'll find a really great story written in second person point of view. The main character is literally the word you. So they make it so that the reader is more engaged because they become that main character. Most often, like I said, we see this in informative texts. Think about like recipes or how-to videos. So if you look up a how to change your oil video, it's going to say, first, you need to make sure that the car has cooled down. Then you need to turn this knob to empty out the old oil into a dish pan. So it's telling you what to do. Recipes too, they say, it's an implied you, but they'll say turn on the oven to 350 degrees. It's implied they're saying you need to turn on the oven. So not often will we see this in stories, but every once in a while, okay? Then we have third person point of view. This one is very common in storytelling. Third person point of view, the story is told by someone outside of the story. They are like an observer. I like to think of this in terms of somebody like looking down and telling you all the details of what they see. So somebody like from standing way up and looking down at all the events that are happening. They're not engaging with any of the characters. They're just telling you what they see, essentially. Okay? So those are our 3 point of views. For video games, it's probably going to follow the same pattern here where we're probably going to see more first person and third person than we would second person. But I do know of at least one video game out there that's really cool that follows a second person point of view. So now when we're thinking about how this applies to video games, what becomes so tricky is that video games don't always have a narrator. Sometimes they will, But more often than not, it's just dialogue. It's characters talking back and forth with each other. So then how are you receiving the story? Who is telling the story, or who is the story about? When we start applying this to video games, think about how we are seeing the story. So whose eyes are we seeing the story through? That's going to be the trick to figuring out what the point of view is for a story. Now, as you move on and you fill out the worksheet for this assignment, please let me know if you have any questions. This is a trickier concept because it's not thinking about point of view in the traditional way. So reach out, let me know if you have any questions. Good luck to you.